Good afternoon. The June 6, 2024 regular board meeting of the City Colleges of Chicago is now called to order. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the chief advisor please call the roll?
Chair Nichols,
Here.
Secretary Davis,
Here.
Trustee Lopez. Here. Trustee Hatch.
Here.
Trustee Hightower.
Here.
Let the record show that in accordance with the Illinois Public Community College Act and the Illinois Open Meetings Act, we have a quorum. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular board meeting for June 2024. I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to the afternoon and to the summer. On June 19th, we commemorate Juneteenth. This day in 1865, enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, were finally informed that they were free, which is also the day all people in the United States, including formerly enslaved people, were granted their freedom. This month, we also celebrate and honor the LGBTQ plus culture and history. For the record, due to the FC4 President's work schedule, they will not be attending the meeting today. However, their report will be entered into the record. That concludes my remarks. The students, trustees unable to attend today, therefore no report will be given. Chancellor Salgado, please proceed with your remarks.
Thank you, Chair Nukas. Good afternoon, everyone. Early this morning, I had the opportunity to attend the State of Illinois Higher Education Futures Table convened by the Governor's Office with public university and college leaders from across the state. The Governor himself as well joined us. The group is one of many ways that Governor Pritzker and his team have shown their commitment to higher education in Illinois. The Governor just yesterday signed the FY25 budget, which increases the higher education general funds by 3%, including $10 million more for MAP grant funds. And we do know that our students are increasingly getting MAP because MAP has been virtually fully funded. And a 2% increase in operating dollars for community college. This follows historic increases last year. That was the highest increase in higher education funding in 20 years. And we know at city colleges that consistent state support is critical in allowing us to continue to invest in the programs and services that we know make a difference for students. This group that is still upstairs right now also discussed efforts to achieve equity in student outcomes. And I might point out that Provost Potter is missing right now because he did go back upstairs as he is a core member of that team. I did share with them, as I'm sharing with you today, that we are making strong progress on our way to our universal student outcome goal of 55%, meaning that 55% of our first-year credential-seeking students will either 55% of our credential-seeking students will either transfer or earn a credential within 4 years of starting at City Colleges of Chicago by 2032. Last year, we were at 36%, and preliminary data shows we have reached 40% of students earning a credential or transferring this year. So we are on our way to the 55%. I want to recognize our colleges for the strides they are making on the way to this goal, and the district office for the support within the goal itself as well. Over the last 2 years, we have also been seeing substantial increases in enrollment for Black and Latinx students, a more than 12% increase year over year for Black credit students, and a 7% increase year over year for Latinx students. Contributing to this progress are enhancements we have made in enrollment management systems, led by VC of Enrollment Management, Darrell Williams, and all of the deans at the colleges, as well as investments we have made in marketing. During our district update today, you will hear from VC of Institutional Branding and Strategic Marketing, David Diley, and his team about their work. Another contributor to our enrollment progress is our focus on growing high-demand programs, like our innovative work in clean energy that you heard about from Senior Advisor Eric Lugo and colleagues during today's committee meeting. Also today, the board will consider the appointment of a new president at Wright College. President David Potash is moving on to a new opportunity this summer. We want to thank President Potash for his decade of leadership at Wright College. From the college's nationally recognized engagement of students and the community, to its equity orientation and improved student outcomes, to its seal of Excelencia designation, Wright College is stronger today than when President Potash arrived. President, we all wish you the best in your next endeavor. Thank you. Over the last few months, we conducted a national search and have selected Dr. Andres Oroz to serve as Wright College's next president. The board will see that among its resolutions today. Dr. Oroz comes to us from his role as Vice President of Academic and Student Affairs at Oregon Coast Community College. Like many of our students, Dr. Oroz is a first-generation college graduate and a one-time English language learner. No stranger to Chicago, he earned his PhD here and held academic roles at 2 local higher education institutions. He will begin his new role in July. I do want to thank Provost Potter and the members of the search committee for guiding a timely and thoughtful process. Moving on, the end of the semester is always a busy time. It's an opportunity to celebrate our students and our college's achievements. I want to just mention a few since it has been a time of celebration. This past month, we joined our colleagues at Chicago Public Schools to recognize more than 700 Chicago Public Schools seniors who earned at least 15 college credits through free early college programs. There are actually more than 6,000 that take advantage of early college programs. 94 of these students earned both their high school diploma at CPS and an associate degree with us. This number continues to grow through the work that we are doing with the Chicago Roadmap and our early college teams at the district and at the colleges. Bless you. In our ongoing effort to improve the transfer experience for students in May, we signed a new guaranteed admissions agreement with Chicago State University. And I'm meeting with President Z. Scott in the coming days, and we will ensure that this agreement has a life in the lives of our students who transfer there, and that they get more and more supports and are increasingly successful in the future. Bless you. The National Institute for Staff and Organizational Development and Diverse Issues in Higher Education once again recognized Malcolm X College as one of the most promising places to work in community colleges. I want to congratulate President David Sanders and his team for this well-deserved recognition. 2 City Colleges students, Harold Washington College's Nana Pander and Olive Harvey College's Levitisha Crawford were among 100 students nationally to be named to All-In Student Voting Honor Roll. Students who made the list are recognized for going above and beyond to advance nonpartisan student voter registration, education, and turnout efforts in their communities. Wright College and Harold Washington College psychology and political science student Tammy Spivey was selected to join the newest cohort of Newman Civic Fellows. The year-long program recognizes students for their leadership potential and their commitment to creating positive change in their community. 3 of 4 awardees of the prestigious Jack Kent Cooke Transfer Scholarship from Illinois were City Colleges of Chicago students, including, by the way, and this is great news to share, our past student trustee, Trustee Yehuda Goldblum, was a Jack Kent Cooke Transfer Scholarship. So to you, Trustee Goldblum, and to Juan Munoz, both engineering students at Wilbur Wright College, congratulations. I do want to also point out that 16 students, including several from the Timuel D. Black Jr. Scholarship and Fellowship Program, along with Student Government Association members, student ambassadors, traveled to Alabama for a 4-day tour of the historic civil rights sites in Birmingham, Montgomery, and Selma. This is the first trip of this kind organized, and I want to recognize VC Jen Mason, her team, the faculty and staff that participated in this effort. Lastly, I want to point out that graduation season continues, and on June 15th, we will celebrate the more than 300 adult education students from 38 countries who will be graduating with their Illinois high school diploma this year during a ceremony at the UIC Forum. And finally, as a reminder, our tuition discount, which we put in place to ensure that our continuing students had an opportunity to pay the same rates from last year, continues to through June 30th for students planning to enroll for fall and spring classes. Chair, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Chancellor. At this time, we will have a strategic marketing and branding presentation led by VC David Diley. Please proceed with your presentation.
I want to thank the Board of Trustees and Chancellor Salgado for inviting the Marketing and Communication Department today to join us to talk a little bit about what we've been up to and some of our initiatives. I've asked our full team, if you can come all over here so you're in the camera so that people on the camera can see you too. We'll just have them up here for a couple of slides. I'm really, if you can't see my enthusiasm, I'm really impressed with this group. You see our ads, you see our radio, you see our TV, you see our news, our print, but you don't often get a chance to see the people behind that work. These are the people who make those things happen. Of course, they work with a lot of other people here, faculty, staff, and so on, but I wanted you to see them. First off, I want to talk a little bit about strategic direction. So where do we get our strategic direction in marketing communications?
Hey guys.
Our strategic direction comes from the strategic plan.
David, can I just ask you guys so that you don't...
Sorry?
Yeah, just scoot over just a little bit.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go. Stay up there, though.
So our strategic direction comes from the strategic plan. In specific, we focus on the strategic lever of institutional health. And in that plan, there's a specific identified initiative around rebranding city colleges and to make our brand identity competitive, clear, and identifiable. So how do we do that? This is the team. This is the team that works on this. There's about 20 of us in this team. A few of our members couldn't be here today. But this is a team. And we're divided up into 5 different hubs. And the secret of our sauce, as I view it, is the collaboration between all of these different areas. If you have communication standing alone, or marketing standing alone, or design standing alone, they can get things done. But when they're together in one group, there's such an energy, such a vital enthusiasm of them working together on various projects. It's very much like an agency model. If you've ever worked with a marketing agency in some regard or communication agency, they're smart. They bring all the different skills together in one group because they know that it takes everybody to get the job done. And so our group is divided up into 4 different hub areas. We cover content communications. That's all the internal and external communications you see, mostly the earned media. This is the stuff we don't pay for, but we get press to cover us. Also, we have our creative services area that does all of our video and photography. All that great video that you see is coming out of this group. You have our design or our branding area that makes sure that things are looking consistent, that makes things look professional. Our logos, our graphic, all that wonderful visuals that you see comes out of this design group. We have our digital area that manages things like our social media presence, our websites, a lot of different systems behind that manage our data. And then lastly, we have our marketing communication area. And this area deals with all of the paid marketing. That's the radio, the TV, the social media, all of that kind of stuff. And they're working with all these other teams. They're also serving as liaisons to the 7 colleges and our 5 satellite areas, almost, again, like an agency. We have account reps that are dealing with the different colleges to make sure that their marketing, their communication needs are met. Okay, at this time, I'll let our team sit down, and we have a few other presenters to join us. So one of the big initiatives that I should have said about that org chart that you just saw there is this team really did not exist the way it does a few years ago. This was part of the strategic initiative. This was part of the vision of Chancellor Salgado and the board to really develop this team in order to maximize our impact as an institution from a marketing communication perspective. Another big thing that happened with coming out of the strategic area was an investment, financial investment into our marketing. And as you can see here with this particular chart, about 4 or 5 years ago, our total spend in marketing communications was about $1 million per year. That's $1 million spread over 7 colleges. That's fairly slim, but there was quite an investment put in, an infusion, and you can see over the last few years, it's been about $3 million per year into our marketing and communications. That's really increased our impact. That's increased the number of people who have seen our communications, our marketing in various areas of Chicago, West Side, South Side, North Side, and Center City. And that advertising has been split into sort of 2 major buckets: digital advertising and traditional advertising. Traditional would be that radio, television, print, the things that have been here for 50, 60 years. But then that more recent electronic digital stuff has really taken as an important area that we have to be in. So we're about 50% digital, 50% traditional advertising. We also did, for a couple of years, you'll see that little yellow area there, we put a little bit of investment in hiring an outside agency to help us through some of our rebranding process. So this was another big change: investment in the organizational chart, also investment in the budget. And next was the big investment in our rebrand. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So we went through a large rebranding process over the last few years and kicked off a couple of years ago. That all started with research. We reached out to prospective students, current students, faculty, staff, community-based organizations, about every constituency we could possibly think of. We did large-scale quantitative questionnaires. We did focus groups. We wanted to start to understand how people view us. Some of the lines of our questioning were looking specifically at things like the student journey. What do we know about our students' experience as they come through that journey? Affordability. What's their thinking around price and value? How are they looking at us? The community influences. How does their community relate to their choice of schools and how they relate to city colleges? Also, the perceptions of each individual school. How do they look at Malcolm X? How do they look at Olive Harvey? How do they look at Kennedy King, et cetera? And then lastly, how do they look at the full umbrella, city colleges as a whole? What does that mean? So there was a lot of learnings coming out of that research, but a few directions that we really paid very, very close attention to as we looked at that research was just an impetus to say, we gotta look at the strengths of both the colleges, as well as the overall system. In whatever brand we come up with, we have to really draw out what's unique to our colleges, but also don't forget about the full system and what it means across the board. We also explored the deeper purpose of the whole system. What are those things about our whole system that we want to make sure are true at every college across the board? We know there are uniquenesses at each college, but we also know there are things that we all hold in common. Next, we wanted to look very deeply at the potential of community. We call ourselves community colleges, right? What does that mean to be a community college? We want to really draw out the community in community college and make that real, because I think we have exciting communities that our colleges are located in, and we can make use of that value. Then we also wanted to look at the issue of price and affordability, but we really wanted to look at value. What does it mean to be valuable to our students? Also realizing that affordability is table stakes for students. They have to be able to afford things too, but they're also concerned about value, not just affordability. And then lastly, we obviously wanted to make sure that we are not the best kept secret. Many felt that, oh, people don't know about us, so we want to get that message out there. So we want to have great creative. We obviously have the advantage of having a little bit more to spend to get that message out there, so these were key things we wanted to learn. So one of the things you do in a branding process is you look at your brand architecture. When you look at your whole system of logos and how things look together, we obviously have 7 colleges, and so how do we put those things together? Well, this is a little diagram here of sort of a continuum, and on the one end, you have companies, which you all know, these are corporate companies, private companies. You have like a FedEx, which we call a branded house, where all their products are very, very similar. There's no differences between them. And we thought, are we like that? No. Our colleges have differences between them. They're not all similar. We're not the branded house model. On the other end of the spectrum, you have something like Procter & Gamble that puts out products like Tide, or Pantene, or Olay. And those products, every single one of them is different. Is that true about our colleges? Is every single one of them totally different, nothing in common? No, we thought there are things in common. So what we settled on as a brand structure was a little bit more of a hybrid, what we call the sub-brand structure, and probably the closest parallel might be something like Apple. We all know Apple. We know each Apple product has something similar with the other. There's certain expectation of quality, value, and look and feel, right? But an Apple Watch is different than an Apple TV, that's different than an iPad. So that's sort of a rough sort of look at how we looked at our different colleges is we know there are similarities across them, but there's also unique differences that we want to pull out. So how did we symbolize this? A very simple symbol here. And that is this color wheel here. And what that symbolized for us for our architecture is that each college, represented by the colors, have their own uniqueness. But they're all part, in the center, they're all part of the City Colleges of Chicago. So that's what we want to make sure in our brand that comes across is there's always something similar across our colleges, but there's always uniquenesses too that we want to pull out. So I'm going to turn this over to Hannah Mills, who is our Director of Content Communications, speaking on behalf of Ann Kennedy, our Executive Director of Communications, who was not able to be here today.
Thank you, David. So as David mentioned, we have a full brand strategy, and that includes what you see here with system-wide transformations, culture, and character traits, all under that central truth that City Colleges lifts communities and change lives. The messages are threaded not only through our advertising and branding, but importantly through our internal and external communications as well. So when we're talking about pieces like student success stories, annual reports, newsletters, things of that sort, the same underlying themes continue. That we're helping communities thrive, that City Colleges is the smart choice, and that our students overcome great obstacles and transcend limitation. One of the main things that we really want our communications to convey throughout our various channels is that we want our students to feel related to, and we want them to feel like City Colleges is on their side. It may be worded differently throughout our various channels, but we want that same voice and feeling to come through. In addition to the character and culture that applies to the entire system, as you'll see on the bottom, each college has their own unique traits and angles. So in those bottom rows, that college-specific messaging is infused into what we do through messaging and storytelling as well. I will now turn it over to our Director of Brand Design, Noah Medina.
Thank you, Hannah. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the creative version of this. So we finish up the strategy and we move into creative section. What you're looking at here on the left is a mood board of creative expressions. We had our agency develop 3 versions of this, and we put those versions into a qualitative market test, focus groups, that contained prospective students, current students, and faculty and staff. From that, we landed on what you're seeing here, which is, again, the mood board. Once that was settled, we moved into developing our ad campaign concepts. Again, we developed 3 separate ad campaigns, all foundationally built on this creative expression. They were quantitative, market tested, with, again, those same audiences, prospective students, current students, faculty, and staff. You may be asking, or you've seen Love It, Live It out in the city, I hope. You've seen that around. You may be asking, what does Love It, Live It mean? Well, it's bold, tenacious tone, speaks to our brand platform, forward-looking and big-hearted. And with that, I'd like to toss it over to Nicolette Downs, our Director of Marketing Automation, who's representing Lisa Stoke, our Executive Director of Digital Strategy.
Thank you, Noah. So we've taken a look at the investment and thought that's gone into the brand and the work that we do, and let's look a little bit at the impact that investment and work has had. So as David mentioned earlier, we partnered with a third-party agency. We partnered with a third-party agency to run 2 batches of surveys to both an unaffiliated with CCC, so community members, prospective students, and an affiliated with CCC audience, so our faculty, staff, and students. And this is a look at the results, both the baseline and then in light green, the post-rebrand results of that survey. And you can see that both in brand familiarity and overall impressions, after the rebrand, we see a little bit of a spike with that unaffiliated audience, which is what we're looking at here. And we can move to the next slide, please. And then the first 4 boxes of this slide represent the 2023 numbers of impressions, advertising impressions, website visits, organic social media growth, as well as media outlet coverage. And so you can see like a great sort of result and trend up there. And that's reflected in the increase in inbound leads as well as applications. The green boxes in these bottom shapes are representing the increase in leads and applications respectively for credit and adult ed. And all of that you can kind of see the evidence of with our last 4 consecutive terms and the enrollment numbers being up across those last 4 terms. And this is doing, part to the brand as well as the incredible work of enrollment management, the work at the colleges with faculty, advising, and everyone who works to support our students. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jason Summers, next, who's the Executive Director of Marketing and Communications. All right, Jason.
Thank you, Nicolette. So you've just seen all the work that went into creating that new brand, and now I'd like to talk about one of the ways it's being implemented, and that is our external advertising campaigns. So our new brand officially launched on July 1st of 2022, and since then our new brand has been consistently implemented across all of the work that's being generated by this team here. But we're going to have a new campaign that's launching on July 1st of 2024. And part of that campaign is going to be with digital ads. Now, the examples we have up here, these are from past campaigns. We don't have our current ones up here, but you can see what will be out in the world as of July 1st. We're going to have some online video and display ads. We're going to have some paid social media, some search engine marketing, and paid ads through the locally owned Indigo online network. Next slide. So in addition to the digital channels, we also have some traditional channels, including the TV and cable stations that you'll see in that top row, as well as some English and Spanish language radio stations in that middle row. But what I wanted to call special attention to is that bottom row, which is our community publications. Since the new brand has launched, we have not only changed the way that we are visually communicating about the brand and the way we talk about City Colleges, but it's also influenced how we reach those audiences. And so we have more than doubled our investment in community publisher ads. Next slide. So most of our digital advertising is going to be highly targeted. The only people that are going to see it are the people that fall within our geographic and demographic ranges. But we have some very visible ads, including our out-of-home stuff, including our CTA buses and trains, some of which you see examples up here. But it is more than just the transit ads. We are also going to be at community festivals, including this weekend's Puerto Rican Festival in Humboldt Park. We're going to have door hangers literally put on the doors of people's homes in the communities surrounding the colleges. And new this year, we're going to be having a LED video billboard truck that is going to drive around the neighborhoods, around the colleges, and travel to popular events. And so some of these channels that I've been talking about are going to be featuring some new video footage that we've shot. And here to talk a little bit more about that is Cesar Rodriguez, our Director of Creative Services.
Thank you. Jason? All right, can you hear me? Hello. So about a year ago, we produced 8 promotional videos for city colleges, one for each college and a general city colleges video. It's important to say that we are featuring real city colleges students in these videos, not actors. We can only show you one today for the sake of time, but you have but you have the rest of the video in your I believe you have the link in your pre-read. We're also showing you a video compilation of some of the media coverage city colleges received in 2023. Enjoy.
Turn on the volume.
Stir up a belief in yourself.
Make something the world can't get enough of.
Kennedy King College.
Hands-on learning.
Culinary arts.
Hospitality management.
Automotive.
Set the stage for your future.
With an education that doesn't just teach,
but gives you the tools to break through.
Create what's next.
Turn your passion into your profession.
We're more than a college. We're a community catalyst.
We're realizing our dreams.
Close to home, second to none.
Kennedy King College.
One of 7 city colleges of Chicago.
Tonight, a free film festival begins at Olive Harvey College. It's the first year of this event with the theme of social justice.
Culinary students at the City Colleges of Chicago will now be able to sample recipes from America's past through a trove of cookbooks donated by descendants of a freed slave.
In his honor, unveiled at Harold Washington College on Lake Street. Check it out there as an extension of the celebration last year of what would have been Washington's 100th birthday. 43 volunteers helped paint that mural, including some Harold Washington College students, faculty, and staff members.
Make sure it's 2 decimal places.
The future teachers study at Truman, a city college, for their first 2 years, then move on to a 4-year school in state. In return for the assistance, they then commit to CPS once they graduate.
For 49-year-old Victor Morales, it's been a day 30 years in the making.
Is I was supposed to be class of 1993. It's so surreal that now I'm class of 2023.
Which is why he and an army of others are taking part in a brand new course starting June 11th to take a look at how caregivers can aid others and themselves. The free course will be taught at Malcolm X College by faculty at the University of Chicago and City Colleges of Chicago.
We were not tapping into this incredible talent pool. If you looked at the big companies in Chicago, how many of them were actually recruiting from city colleges?
The network soon expanded. Now dozens of Chicago companies hire apprentices from city colleges, as well as other community colleges and educational programs. Thousands of people have launched their careers with this program.
Favorite neighborhood eatery offering fine dining while teaching students all aspects of operating a restaurant is coming back to Englewood.
citywide hiring fair was held at a number of locations. The event featured several businesses and it's sponsored by the City Colleges of Chicago.
City Colleges of Chicago officials listened to Miancota's cry for help through a partnership with DePaul USA, providing him and 5 other non-traditional students a safe place to call home.
Before we take any questions that you may have, I do want to just reiterate one thing that Nicolette said. When she was showing all those outcomes, we're extremely proud of the growth in leads and website visits and applications and enrolled students, but I really want to say that we do so much in partnership with enrollment management and particularly with VC Williams. So those numbers are a joint, combined, collaborative effort in that impact. So we welcome any thoughts or questions from the board.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for a great presentation. And I, finally saw the source of all those wonderful ads that caught my attention. The sample size of the survey on the effectiveness and in terms of people who were impacted by the ads, positive outlook based on being touched by the messaging in the ads. What was the size of that sample?
It was about over 2,000 people who actually filled out the questionnaire, and it was about a 1.7% response, which sounds super, super low, but if you ask research agencies, that's really within the range of typical normal. I would say, and we identified this in our process, we did not put any, the survey was put out just blindly to our lists. We didn't, but we do need to do more work to bring in even more brown and black participation in those surveys. And so we've committed to making some changes in that going forward. We still think the survey is good, but there's always ways to improve it the next time around. Thank you.
If I could follow up with another one too.
Sure.
Yeah, I was noticing too the community papers. I was familiar with a couple of them that West Side based, but I was looking for something like the Tribe that has this online presence. Younger people are more gravitating to something that is electronic and not necessarily community papers.
Yeah, there are a number of papers. Tribe is one, a good publication. I should mention, we do have an outside media buying agency that we work with, and they look at a lot of the research as to, we make them available of what our students, age, demographic, location, zip codes, and then they identify which publications are more likely to reach those. But sometimes those surveys are done at such an aggregate level that they don't necessarily get, what's going on in the real communities. So I think I take your word. It's definitely one that we need to reach out to and look at. But there are a lot of others too that are out there for sure. Thank you.
Only because the young people tell me they really like the Tribe, in particular. City Block, I saw Block Club Chicago.
Fortunately or unfortunately, one of the things we do see is a lot of our students, they're using the mainstream Facebook, Instagram, things like that, which I wish more of them were reading some of the local publications. Many do, but a lot of them are on those mainstream public sources as well.
Thank
you. That was a fascinating presentation. I kind of have a similar question to Reverend Hatch in terms of audience, because you are very, very present in what I use, right? Like LinkedIn usually, and I get all of that information every day in different topics, different colleges. So for me, it's so useful, right? Like just share or say something, etc. But what do the youth specifically are more interactive with or attracted to?
What types of media are we more attracted to?
Yeah, what kind of social media? Is it Instagram? What is it nowadays? I don't know.
We're attracted to media that yields results. So one of the nice things about digital media is, and if our executive director of digital strategy could.
Sorry, I was talking about the students. Like, where do you see, what are they more interactive with?
What are they using?
Yeah.
What are they utilizing? They're using the big social media platforms. They're Facebook, Instagram. They're moving away from Twitter because of some of the things that we've seen on Twitter recently. Threads is kind of making a little growth, but small. I don't know. Somebody else want to comment?
Just David, I do think it's useful. Just before when you get done, I think it is useful to talk about the results part of it too. By the way, because when you're looking at data about what's actually yielding clicks and things like that,
like a spread across platforms. Yeah. So I will say, like David mentioned, so our media buy is going to look at all of the digital placements that are possible across the web. So like even the publication that you were talking about, if they have web like buy, so try not to get too much in the weeds, but there's like billboard spaces on all of these news sites and social media sites. And the thing that our ad buy company does is look at those available spaces, which are across, some social media is more targeted, but some of it is them just saying, oh yeah, like this available online space is where we're seeing the demographics of the younger audience of Black and brown students, and they're placing stuff there. So we didn't get granular with that in the presentation, but they're doing a lot of work in that realm, rest assured.
Yeah, there's actually two companies we work with, Bases and Canela. Bases is sort of mainstream. Canela works more with minority markets. And what they do is all the websites and digital properties that are out there, they aggregate all of them. And so we'll do a buy with them, and they put our ads in like 500 different locations. Because the nature of electronic communications is it's so fragmented, right? There's a million different things that students today are consuming. But to the Chancellor's question about tracking, one of the things we're doing, and we can specifically do this with digital, is we use very unique web URLs. So when somebody clicks on something, that gets registered on the back end. And we know we put an ad someplace, we know how many inquiries we got from that ad, how many leads. And now with the new CRM system, it's not completely online yet, but as the newer CRM system comes more and more online, we hope to be able to track that breadcrumb, that journey, all the way through from an initial click on an ad to an inquiry, to an application, to an enrolled student, to maybe even an alumni. And then we can start to say, well, which sources were the most productive for us? Obviously, we want return on investment. We want to reach the students where they're at. Okay? All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. As stated earlier, due to FC4 President's work schedule, they will not be attending the meeting today. However, their report will be entered into the record. In absence of Vice Chair Swanson, the Chair of the Academics and Student Services Committee, I will present the committee report. At the committee meeting this morning, there was a presentation on clean energy. The Chancellor tasked the senior advisor to lead in developing an overarching strategy for work in clean energy district-wide. The goal for 2024 is to begin a clean energy strategic plan in partnership with Elevate. This plan will focus on considerations such as programming, roadmap, and milestones, establishing an energy advisory council, advising on organizational design and positioning for sector leadership, and building community partnerships that shape local opportunity. A review of minutes, resolutions, personnel items, research development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices included on today's academic affairs and student services agenda as part of the consent agenda to this June 6, 2024 regular board meeting also occurred. This concludes this report. We will now proceed to consider the items on the June 6, 2024 consent agenda. This month, all items for board action are on the consent agenda, which is printed on the paper that can be picked up outside this room. I would note again for the record that these items were discussed in detail in the committee meetings preceding this board meeting, as noted during the committee report. Does any trustee have questions or comments on any of the items listed on the consent agenda or wish for separate action on any of these items? May I have a motion to approve the minutes, resolutions, personnel report, research development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices contained in the consent agenda and identified as part of the printed agenda on a single roll call vote?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Will the chief advisor call the roll?
Chair Nichols?
Agreed.
Chair, can you hear me? Chair Nichols? Oh, okay. Yes. I couldn't hear you. Trustee Davis? Approved. Trustee Lopez? Approved. Trustee Hatch?
Approved.
Trustee Hightower?
Approve.
Thank you all. Let the record show that the minutes, resolutions, personnel report, research development report, agreements, purchases, and legal invoices included on the printed June 6, 2024 consent agenda have all been approved. Now, and in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the board may hold a closed session for the discussion of matters related to a number of specified topics. Today's closed session will be for the discussion of matters related to the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body. 2C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. 2C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. May I have a motion to go into a closed session with a roll call vote?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Will the chief advisor please call the roll?
Chair Nichols?
Approve.
Trustee Davis?
Approved.
Trustee Lopez?
Approved.
Trustee Hatch?
Approved.
Trustee Hightower?
Approve.
Let the record show that the closed session motion has been approved. We will be back. Hello. The June 6, 2024 regular board meeting is now reconvened. There was no action taken during closed session, which requires action in open session. There being no further business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Okay. Yep. Hey, I do want to, you all got a note that we're sticking around. We have some refreshments. We wanted to give ourselves some time to, spend some time with President Potash, who's here at his last meeting. So, again, thank you, President Potash, for your service to CCC, and enjoy some time with your colleagues. All right?